Alright, so in this video we're going to take a look at factoring by grouping. So we've already looked at some examples where we're factoring a polynomial with 3 terms. Factoring by grouping is made specifically for polynomials of 4 terms. So when we go to factor by grouping, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make 2 separate groups with these 4 terms. So what I'll do is I'll group these first 2 terms together, x cubed minus 5x squared, and then I will group these second 2 terms together, the 3x minus 15. So now that I've established my groupings, all I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my first grouping and I'm going to factor out the GCF. Okay? So if I look at x cubed minus 5x squared, it looks like the GCF of those 2 terms is going to be x squared. Okay? So left over, x squared times x will give me x cubed, and x squared times negative 5 will give me negative 5x squared. So all I've done so far is I've looked at my first grouping and I've factored out the GCF. So when it comes to using this method of factoring, before we go to take the GCF of that second grouping, it's very important that we do everything we can to get the same thing on the inside of the set of parentheses we're going to have over here. Okay, so I'm saying that whatever we get in here should be the same as this. So 3x minus 15, well, the GCF there is going to be positive 3. So we pull out our 3, which means 3 times x will give us 3x. And then 3 times what will give us negative 15? That would be negative 5. So notice we have x minus 5 here, x minus 5 here. So now when we go to rewrite this to give us our final factored form, both of these groupings have an x minus 5 that we could factor out of here. So our factored form is going to be x minus 5 x squared plus 3. And that is our final factored form using factoring by grouping. Now you can't always use factoring by grouping, although there is a trick to determine whether or not you can use it. And the way to determine that is to set up an equation. And in this case it would be a over b is equal to c over d. So we're saying if a over b is equal to c over d, then this means that you can use factoring by grouping. Well, what is A, B, C, and D? Well, you can just label these A, B, C, and D. And all we're doing is we're going to take the coefficients of each term, is all we're going to take. So A, in this case, our coefficient of x cubed is just 1. So I have 1 over B, our coefficient for x squared is negative 5. And we're saying, is this equal to c over d? Well, c is 3, d is negative 15. Now maybe at first blush these don't look the same, but let's see if we can simplify these. So here we would have on the left side negative 1/5, and on the right side 3 over negative 15 simplifies to negative 1 over 5. So the fact that these are equal means that we can use factoring by grouping. You don't necessarily always have to do this, but this can be a helpful way for you to determine whether or not you're wasting your time. So you can either use this, or when you do go to factor using factoring by grouping, if no matter what you do, you can't get the same thing on the inside of the parentheses, that means either you did something wrong, or factoring by grouping just isn't an option for that problem.